A question that you can ask yourself here is like, where am I limiting myself right now? Where am I limiting the expansion that could come into my life? Where am I limiting myself and holding myself back to what could be true for me? So in today's video, I want to talk about how to become more energetically attractive, which is a term that was shared with me by a good friend and mentor of mine, Dan. And the key to this and the core topic of this conversation is going to be tapping into your true authentic self, right? So I'm excited for this one. So what does it mean to be energetically attractive? Well, let's look at a couple of examples, right? The people who you are drawn to, the people who are out there, putting themselves out there, in whether it's online or whether you meet somebody in person, you'll notice that there's something about them that you're just drawn to, that you're just pulled towards. And when you feel that, you don't really consciously understand it. You may not even consciously even think about it. You're just drawn to them. That's really what we're tapping into here. And that is a subconscious thing that we're trained as human beings to really pick up on. We're trained to pick up on people's energy. We have these different gifts, and you could consider them spiritual gifts. You could consider them just energetic things that we are able to pick up on because of survival as well. And this is something that we all have the capacity for. And when I started to realize this and become more aware of it, I started to pick up on other people's energy from a very young age, and I noticed this about myself. But I didn't understand it for a long time because I used to pick up on a negative energy when somebody used to walk into the room who was carrying a lot of dense energy or a lower frequency or just a lot of fear or judgment or any of these different things. And I could start to feel that shift within the room when someone would walk in. And that was my first kind of understanding of like, whoa, like there's something I'm picking up on here. I just don't really understand it. I didn't know what energy was at the time or frequency or any of these things. So I thought it was me because you can easily pick up on those things and think that it's actually you because you're picking up how someone else feels, and you can start to take on that energy yourself. And then you start to feel like, whoa, what is going on? What's wrong with me? And that's the first thing that we think about because we're not taught that we can actually pick up on other people's energy, right? And we all have these different gifts that I consider spiritual gifts, right? They're gifts that we can always start to cultivate more of. So when you look at someone who is energetically attractive, it's the opposite of what we just described there. When somebody walks into the room, or when you see a video online, because everything is just a transmission of energy. You're receiving energy right now from this video, right? You're receiving energy from the people you chat to, the people you talk to. And when someone walks into the room, let's say, or you watch a video and they're coming from a higher energetic state, right? They're led by a higher frequency, not just their ego. It will speak to your soul. Subconsciously, you'll be able to pick up on it. Now, unfortunately, if they're very, very unconscious and if you're very asleep to like these different things, which again, there's no judgment here. It's just that we're all on this journey in different ways and we awaken bit by bit throughout our time. When you're unconscious of those things, it's very easy to be led astray by something that is out of alignment for you or something that is maybe coming from a more dense energy that is using manipulation to be able to hack your psychology kind of thing, which is what unfortunately a lot of marketing really does, where it kind of comes from a place of structure and hacking psychology and ego a lot of the time, not everything, sometimes. That's the marketing world for a very, very long time. But I think we're seeing a massive shift in that now because content is more organic, it's more true, it's more real. But what comes with that is its own set of challenges where we got to be able to tap into our core authentic self to be able to show up authentically. And that's your differentiation factor. That's your USP. Because with something like a personal brand, it's not that you can manufacture a new persona that you want to put out online. That's incredibly, incredibly draining because now you have to wear a mask and pretend to be someone your entire life. And I've done that. Don't get me wrong, I've done that because I thought it was the best option because also I was just afraid of expressing my true self. And this led me to make a lot of different decisions that I don't regret. It's all part of my journey. So it is what it is. But I started a business that was not really for me. I made decisions and had behaviors that were not really in alignment with who I wanted to be or who I truly was. I was doing it because I wanted to be somebody else, right? And I think it's very easy to fall into that, especially when you're seeing so many people online all the time. You're trying to find the way, you're trying to find what's the right way, what's the path to success, what's the way to fulfillment, like all of these different things. So when you find that from someone who is operating from that place, it's very easy to think that you have to be like them in order for you to see success. But the key to all of this is the success comes when you actually become your true authentic self. Become is not even the right word there. You already are that. It's just really uncovering it. It's pulling back the layers so that it just naturally comes out. And interestingly enough, life gets easier when you do tap into that. Now, of course, it has its own set of challenges, like everything does. And I'll never forget, like I talked about earlier, like when I was getting into business, I was starting a marketing agency, and that was my main goal. And of course, I had the best intentions. I was going to grow this business and travel the world, and I was able to do that and get to the goals that I wanted to hit and visit the different places I want to live in and work with some amazing clients, and it was really fun. But there was a part of me that knew that it wasn't really for me, because when I was creating videos about marketing, whether it was on TikTok or Instagram or even some of my earlier YouTube videos where, I don't really have those public anymore because it's just not really what I talk about. But those videos felt very weird to me. There was something that was just like very forceful about it. I was trying to talk about something that was just not exciting to me at all. And it just got to the point where I was like, okay, why am I actually building this business? Why do I actually want to do this? And I always came back to like, well, it's a great way to make money. It's a great way to travel and create freedom. But I knew at the back of my mind that what I was truly meant to do is what I do today. But I didn't allow myself to want that. I didn't allow myself to actually have that. I didn't allow myself to actually take the steps towards that because I was afraid of the magnitude that can come from that. Because a lot of people, when they hear about alignment or they hear about things that are, meant for them, it sounds like it's just supposed to be easy. It's just supposed to be really, really easy. But what comes with that is wearing your heart on your sleeve. What comes with that is you putting yourself out there to be judged by people who may misunderstand you. And that judgment is coming to you directly, your authentic self, and the journey that you're on, that you're owning. And sometimes, when you're getting judgment, when you're wearing a mask, it actually doesn't really have that much of an effect because it's not really you. But when you're getting judgment from, let's say, other people, or even self-judgment, which is, again, it's its own thing to dissolve, and you're passing that on to yourself for being your true authentic self, that's where it gets really challenging. So this idea of becoming energetically attractive is the path of alignment. It's the path of finding your way within the rhythm of the world and the rhythm of the universe to create and expand into really whatever it is that you want to do. And that can look different for everyone. Some people are more suited to be in the trenches building things and helping people with systems or helping people with certain strategies and things like that, and actually in there implementing with them. It's more of a consulting role or more of a done for you service type of offer or type of business if you're running a business. Or some people are just better with people. Some people like to study the mind and psychology and be able to communicate really well, which is where like sales may be something that they lean towards. Some people may be better at helping people just generally solve problems and then have certain curiosities that are leading them towards certain things like personal development in my own case, where I'm very passionate about the topics I talk about, and I spend most of my waking hours looking into these things in greater depth. Got a plane passing by. Super beautiful here in New Zealand right now. Then you have other people who are great at creating products, great at creating brands and things like that, and that's something that excites them. Or maybe there's something else entirely where people love helping other people with the areas of health or performance, and that could be going in its own variety of different things. So there's so many different avenues, so many different things, and they all work. I'm in many, many communities with many people doing different things, and all of them work, all of them see their own successes. So that's the beautiful thing about all this. No matter what it is that you choose, you can make it work because you'll find at least one person out there who does something similar, and you just find your own way of doing that. That's unique to you, so you can create some sort of differentiation factor for yourself in everything. It's not just in business, but just in life in general. And that's where you start to own your path. you know? A question that you can ask yourself here is like, where am I limiting myself right now? Where am I limiting the expansion that could come into my life? Where am I limiting myself and holding myself back to what could be true for me? You know, and when you spend time with that question, it can bring up all sorts of things, you know, and then that's the journey kind of unfolds naturally. And it's not a case where you see the next 10 steps ahead, but you can see the next step. And when you take the next step will appear. Because when I transitioned from doing that business that I didn't really enjoy, and I truly said to myself, hey man, you've known from day one that you want to do this. Why don't you do it? Why not now? And when I sat with that, and I started to go deeper into the spiritual journey and the healing journey of dissolving the blocks and the unconscious things that were kind of stopping me from really owning that truth, I just walked the path. I walked the path and I went all in on myself. I went all in on being me, you know? And that allowed me to tap into this whole other way of operating within the world where there's a lot more flow, there's a lot less friction, there's a lot less resistance. Things fit nicely. I get excited about creating videos like this and doing the work that I do, coaching clients, and it's just a nice way for me to be myself and follow my curiosities and excitement, and then give that to the world in the form of service and receive monetary value in return for that. That allows me to travel and do basically what I want to do. And that's, again, I know, a very privileged position to be in, and I'm very thankful and grateful that I've experienced it so early in my life. And I think that that is absolutely 100% possible for everyone, and it doesn't have to be my version, it can be your version, which is the whole point of this. But the idea behind this is becoming energetically attractive. How do we really start to uncover what that path is for us? How do we really uncover what it means to be fully you? And I would love to say that there was a step-by-step process that I could bring you through to be able to do that. And we'll talk about some steps, absolutely. But a lot of the time, this path is very unique for everyone because your soul is on a unique journey, very unique journey. You and me, we have a completely different path. We may cross over at different times. We may even meet in person someday. I would hope that I do. And that may be where we can help each other along the way. But oftentimes we're on this path in a very unique way. And that's actually a big part of being energetically attractive, where you really own your path and the uniqueness that comes from that. So the big place for me that this really started was understanding and being aware of the things that are exciting to me, the things that I am curious about, and the things that I would do if, I would do them for free if I could, right? Just to do them because I would do it anyway. I would create this video for free. I would coach clients for free because, to be honest, I started to look back into my past, and I started to see that I was naturally doing what I'm doing now anyway, just in a friendship format or just with people I knew. People used to come to me and reach out to me even when I was in school and ask me to help them solve their problems, right? Whether it was something internally or a relationship, and I was, 14, 15, even younger than then. So, I didn't know much about life at all. Still learning, still growing. I haven't reached the level of mastery that I feel like I can aspire to, but I've learned some things along the way. And these were interesting to look back on because I started to see a pattern. People naturally gravitate towards me to solve problems. And now I just do that for a living and get paid for it. So there's probably some things in your life that you can look back on and see, hey, what are some things that I'm curious about? What am I excited about? What am I leaning towards above everything else, and what would I do for free? What am I doing anyway? And then flipping that into something that you can start to create. And if there's only a couple of things in your life, then that's fine. You just experiment with more things. Like myself, you could end up building a business that's not really the most aligned thing, but it's the most exciting thing at the time. It served its purpose. For me, the marketing agency taught me everything I needed to know about sales and marketing, which 100% correlates to what I do now. Otherwise I wouldn't be able to do any of that. And doing that for 2.5 to 3 years, I learned quite a bit from working with different people. So this is it's a huge bonus for what I do now, So that's where that becomes a little bit clearer, asking those questions. And then from there, the large majority of the work to be done is within the soul. It's the journey of healing. It's the journey of dissolving the unconscious patterns and blocks and the fears and the doubts and the judgments of others and yourself, and the guilt and the shame from past events, and seeing the gifts in those things. Because a big part of what I do, right, and I'll reference my story again, a big part of what I do comes from the pain that I felt growing up as a boy, the relationship I had with my parents, our upbringing, right, the financial struggles, there was, emotional neglect, all these different things, right, narcissism, like all of them. And that, at the time, was a dense thing to experience. It was something that I didn't really necessarily understand. I was falling into victimhood like anybody would, right, in those scenarios. But it was up to me to then choose a new path and choose a new story, or just stay a victim my whole entire life and say, poor me, I wish my life was different. So a big part of this, at least for me, maybe resonate with you, is seeing the gifts and the lessons in the things that you've experienced throughout your life. Because when you see that, you can transmute pain into power and purpose. And when you do that, you start to see the magic in life, the magic of transmutation of energy. Because when we are stuck in the dense frequency of fear, judgment, lack, whatever it is, guilt or shame, or any of these things that cause us to be pulled down by life, these emotions, these emotional states, these frequencies, when we experience those on a default basis, it can affect and hold limiting patterns and beliefs in place in our mind, which means then our mind is now off as well. We're not really seeing the world clearly, It's like we're mentally drunk walking through the world trying to find the path, but we're stumbling over everything because this thing is pulling us down. And until we see the gifts and the lessons in it, we will keep attracting the same type of people into our life, the same type of opportunities or events that will showcase the unconscious patterns and dense energy and frequencies that we're experiencing unconsciously, to mirror that back to us in our physical reality and experience. So for example, you may be coming from a deep place of guilt or shame, right? Which we all have to transmute in some way, shape or form throughout our life. And then you attract people into your life who mirror that back to you, who poke those holes in you to bring that to the surface, to emotionally trigger you. And we may see that as a negative thing, but there's a gift in that. Because what the world is mirroring back to you is the exact thing that needs to be dissolved for you to rise into power and purpose. And that's why we experience these different things, right? It could be a relationship, it could be a business partner that fucks you over, ends up taking all the money, ends up going off and completely leaving you behind, to mirror back to you the lack of boundaries that you set, or the lack of personal power that you showed up with in the relationship. There's so many nuances to this, right? So I believe that everything has a divine purpose. And it's not here to just make us feel bad. It's not here to make us feel like, oh damn, life is it's just this drag. It's there to mirror back to us the growth opportunity that is there to transmute pain, denser energy and frequency and emotions into something more powerful. And that's where you start to see the world clearly. You mentally sober up. You take off the broken glasses. You see the world clearly. You see yourself clearly. You start to see who you truly are. You start to see the power that's actually within you. You start to see the purpose that can be followed and unfolded in your lifetime because of how you see things now. It's a beautiful thing, but that requires a large amount of letting go. That's why surrender to, the infinite creator, whatever your name is for that. Surrender to the path that is unfolding before you, taking the next step, not worrying about 10 steps ahead, but just taking the next step, trusting that it's in your highest alignment to experience all the things that you're experiencing right now in your life, even if they're overly negative. And I get you, I understand, I empathize with that. But those things, what if they're the biggest opportunities for you to grow? What if they're the very thing that's actually going to lead you into becoming energetically attractive? Where life feels like flow, where life feels like you can move and things are just kind of happening for you. You're dancing in between the raindrops. You're gliding, you're sliding, you're singing, you're dancing. You overcome the challenge, you run up the hill when you got to do that, but then at the same time you're balancing, you're flowing, and life doesn't feel like this constant drag. Because when we start to just let go of the things that have happened in our life, and we see the opportunity in those, and we see the gifts that are there for us, and I know it's difficult, don't get me wrong, I know this is challenging, but when you can see those gifts and lessons, you see yourself. You see yourself as the warrior that you are, that simply came here to realize how empowered you can truly be. And that's when we start to see ourselves for our true authentic self, at least from my experience. Because otherwise we start getting caught up in the mind, right? And what did we talk about earlier? Well, these dense emotions, these emotional states that we kind of default back to, right? That take time to unravel, don't get me wrong. Those things hold the limitations in our mind in place. So therefore, what do? We look for solutions, but we're looking for solutions to our mind. We're looking for solutions in the mind. The mind does not solve emotional problems. The mind solves logical problems. So we start looking outside of ourselves, people, relationships, opportunities, outside of ourselves to give ourselves some sort of understanding or feeling that we're really looking for at the deepest level, right? Chasing love in a partnership, chasing success or the feeling of fulfillment or love or validation in making a lot of money. Now, there's nothing wrong with these things, but we have to understand where the energy is coming from, the fuel behind it in the first place. Otherwise, we'll start making the wrong decisions that are going to lead us down a path of just experiencing more and more pain, really, at the end of the day, So we can do those same things. We can find that love, we can find that success, that fulfillment, that feeling of feeling seen and heard. But that can only come from you, giving it to yourself. That's the truth. It's a hard truth that I've had to learn over and over and over and over again. But when you do, you start to tap into the magic. And when you start to understand that and start to see that everything is really neutral in life until we start to attach meaning to it, until we dissolve them, we naturally rise, right? And we're striving for more and growing and building a life for ourselves, but it's through a place of force and resistance. It's like you're constantly pumping hot air into a hot air balloon, but you're bobbling along the ground. And you never really take off, but you're pumping hard as you can. When really all you got to do is cut the sandbags at the side of the basket. Stop pumping so hard and just let yourself naturally ascend. Life can be like that, and I've experienced it myself. It's really cool. It's really fun. And then you can embrace challenges as, again, just more opportunities. Because we're not saying here that we're trying to sit back and just never have challenges, because there's going to be challenges at every level that you go on your journey, and that's the purpose why we're here. But we're talking about how you approach them and the state that you're coming from, so that you can truly create an amazing life for yourself and be fully grounded in your own truth, so that you can show up in social scenarios where you feel at ease and at peace for just being you, where you know what path is for you and you know what path is not for you, so you don't have to worry about what other people are doing, what strategy other people are using, what other people are building. As you can take inspiration from them. Amazing. I hope you're doing amazing. I hope you're doing incredible. What you're building is beautiful. But I'm doing this because this is my path. And owning that is a big part of just embracing your true self as well, trusting who you are. And when you do that, you just tap into you're just in a different world, man. You're just in a different world, man, And I think that's where humanity is headed, because that incorporates so much collaboration between all of us, where we have different skill sets and different things that we're building, and we can collaborate on different things, and it brings more unity and more oneness to the world, because we're all connected. We're all connected to God, whatever your term for God is. We're all connected to Source, and we're all connected to each other as well. So then the challenge becomes, how can I look back into my past and heal these things, dissolve them, dissolve the judgments, let go of the things that are holding me back in these dense frequencies, and allow myself, just allow myself to fully rise, fully ascend. And ask yourself the deeper question of, where am I limiting myself in my life right now? Where am I holding back my true authentic self? Where am I not setting boundaries where I could be setting boundaries? Where am I not going after what I know I can go after? I've got another plane. So with all that being said, because everything is a mirror, the best way to look at this is to see, where is my emotional triggers? What's going on in my life right now where I'm feeling overly emotional about something, right? Where it could be someone said something, it could have been completely indirect and completely neutral, but for some reason it affected me. Why is that? And what was it that affected me about it? Someone did something over there, or I see somebody online and they're doing this, that, and the other. Why does that affect me? Why is what they're doing affecting me? Because I'm not valuing myself, I'm not loving myself fully. I'm thinking that this person is being seen and heard for who they are, but there's a part of me that's not allowing myself to do that, and therefore that person being authentic triggers me. That could be it. That was a big one for me for a long time. There could be many, many things. Look at the triggers. Where are you reacting? And then when you look at that, pinpoint it and find it, you'll see that there's something deeper around there where you're not truly giving yourself something. You're not truly loving yourself fully. You're not truly giving yourself the health, the wealth, the relationship that you truly want, or something. It could be anything. But those triggers are the gateway in. I write it down multiple times a week in this journal here to find out what are the things that are triggering me right now. And then you just go in and you come back into center and remember who you are. Remember your value. Right? Releasing the comparison. And again, there's so many things within our program that we have around processing these different things, but the simplest thing that you can do is sit and be with it. Emotions can pass in up to 90 seconds if you allow it. You fully allow it. So, to become energetically attractive is tapping into your true, authentic self, and that true, authentic self is just waiting to come out. And you've seen it. You've seen it already. Around family members, maybe if you have siblings and you're blessed to have nice people around you like that, they are the ones that will bring out your most authentic self because you're so comfortable with them. What are the things that you cringe at, that you wish nobody saw? How can you bring out more of that? That's what makes you magnetic. That's what makes you cool to the right people. Who cares what anybody else thinks? Be you. So hopefully this message was helpful. Tapping into your true authentic self goes beyond business strategy, goes beyond sales strategy, goes beyond how to really do anything. It's the key that's going to bring the right people into your life who are meant for you. It's going to be the thing that brings the right relationship into your life. It's going to be the thing that brings the right opportunities, the right business, the right income stream, whatever the case is for you. It's going to be the thing that brings all of that into existence. And the journey of uncovering your true authentic self is the journey of self-mastery. It's a journey of healing, whatever you want to call it. It's peeling back the layers, dissolving the dense emotions, transcending into higher levels of frequency and emotional state. So you can operate from new baselines and just fully see the blessings that life has given you in the challenges, the lessons, and the pain that you've experienced. I'm not saying it's not relevant. It absolutely is, and I see you. But it is your choice in what you do with it. Because who knows, that could lead you to the most beautiful thing that you could ever imagine. So, sending you so much love. This has been Jordan, and I'll see you in the next video. Have an amazing day.